Hey, it's Johnny Rocket with the Johnny Rocket Launchpad. I'm a podcaster. You know what I want to do? I wanted to do a review on a piece of audio equipment we use in our studio for our podcast. And the reason I wanted to do this piece of equipment is we have two microphones, an SM7 and an RE20. These two microphones are fantastic, silky smooth, the whole 9 yards. However, the problem with them is there's not enough gain. So you could go out and buy a cloud lifter, which is a great product, and boost that signal up to 25 dB. Or you can possibly spend just a little bit more money and buy yourself a DBX286S by Harmon. Now, this is an amazing product. It's a mic preamp. It's a compressor. It's a de-esser. It's an enhancer. It's a gate. It does it all. Now, the reason I'm suggesting that you buy this, only if you are a small radio station, if you do podcast, if you're home studio, this is the perfect fit for you, for your budget. I mean, it's not much. It's $200. You can find it at Amazon.com for $200. It's a great product, high quality, and as the box says, all the mic processing you need. Really quickly, DBX286 mic preamp over here. Awesome. Has your basic knobs. It's pretty sturdy construction, just to let you know. You have your gain. You want to keep your gain high enough to where you're not clipping, and yet you want to keep your gain high enough to where you have high resolution. You have a 48 volt phantom power, so if you have a condenser microphone, you can plug that in, no problem. Has a 80 Hertz high pass filter, so basically if you have any rumbles in the background or any kind of low frequency that you don't want to hear, or any kind of vibrations coming in, the mic can pick it up. You can hit that button and it will bypass those low frequencies and let the highs pass. So that's why we call it a high pass filter. So, and what's also cool is you can actually bypass everything to the right of the mic pre. So if you don't want the compressor, you don't want any of this stuff, you don't have to use it. So you can turn that on and off. It's indicated with a red button. Over here, the first section is the compressor section. You have drive and density. What's really cool about this is basically your drive is your gain reduction. So how much gain you want to take out of your signal. And your density is the release time on that signal or that compression. And over here is your de-esser. Basically, it takes out the sibilants in your voice. So if you're a girl, you would probably have a higher frequency, and you would adjust the threshold as needed. And if you're a guy, you might want to use something around 4K, maybe even a little lower, unless if you have a really deep voice. Your enhancer, basically you have low frequency detail and high frequency detail, and the low frequency detail deals with about 80 Hertz. So about 80 Hertz gives you a little boost in that, and about a 250 cut in your honk range, or your mud range, I like to call it. 250 is really a kind of a shitty frequency because everything seems to be around 250, but it's cool. It adds a little bit of that low end. It gets rid of that 250 range, and your high frequency detail is basically your sparkle on top. So it's really cool. It's basically an EQ in this box. And the expander gate, you have threshold and ratio, basically how much when you want that gate to activate, and by what ratio do you want to percentage-wise act towards that gate. So what you're doing is basically, it's a reverse of a compressor. You're basically saying a compressor goes, hey, I'm going to start squashing this. A gate is, I'm not going to let noise in until this decibel level comes in. And over here is your output. And if you're doing the setup that we're going out of this into a Focusrite 18i8. And if you do that, you want to keep it at the very bottom at -30 on gain. So it's really cool. It's about 19 inches in width, about an inch and a half. It's one rack unit. Over here you have a 15 watt power plug that you put in here that comes with this, obviously. Put it in your wall, but there is no on and off switch. So if you have a surge protector, it'd be best to maybe utilize this with a surge protector so you are not wasting electricity all day. Output, basically, if you want to go out of here into something else, or your tape, or to audio interface, this is where you'd come with a, what is it, 1/4 inch TRS cable out into your audio input. Insert is really cool. So what you could do with an insert is you have your mic pre-input here. You can go out into an EQ, and then you can come back. So you have tip ring sleeve, your tip sends it, and your ring sends it back. So it's really cool. So you can go from your mic pre to an EQ, back from the EQ into the compressor. Very cool. And your line input, which only offers -15 dB to, I believe, plus 45 dB, and your mic input is up to 60 dB. So this is a great product. I think it's fantastic. Every studio should have this. It's well built, well made, and it sounds great. And I really, this is the first review I've ever done on any piece of audio gear, but I would give this definitely 5 stars. And this is Rocket Review. Rock and roll. See you next time.